Now, I think it is a disservice to those Nigerian judges who have given excellent service to this country to really say that there was interference with them. I mean, I hear Mr. President Waifo say that you are not being judgmental, but yesterday I thought that some of the statements were judgmental. That look, you cannot say this about the judges. You cannot say that about the judges. But he sat there and said something about the judges, because that the international press was saying something about the judges, which was not right. Yes, that's not right. But he sat there and was saying something impinging on the integrity of the judges. I would have thought that that would have been appropriate to say, Mr. President, we are condemning the international press for really taking on judges in this manner. You, as the guardian, the fountain of justice in the Gambia, you ought not to make this type of statements about a judge, whose decisions you may not be happy about. For us, or for me in person, for the judge not to acquit me, was not his desire. What he wanted was for him to convict him. We have heard him say that after the execution, that look, somebody was acquitted, and this judge, if he was convicted, he would have been the first to go to the gallows. He said so on television. He said so on television. And I did not expect that your political opponent, you really wish him to be taken to the gallows. I did go out on demonstration, and I have said in the past that I will not apply for permit to hold a meeting, because that is constitutionally guaranteed. My right to hold meetings is constitutionally guaranteed. But since the law provides that I cannot use a public address system without obtaining a permit for the use of the public address system, I always apply to the Inspector General of Police to grant me permission to use a public address system at our meetings. I don't ask for meeting. And I said I will never ask permission to hold a meeting, but I'll always ask permission to hold meetings at which I will use a public address system. Because there's a distinction using permission to use a public address system and permission to hold a meeting. And I insist on that. When we were stopped some months ago, that when we are denied permit to use a public address system, I went on with a meeting, to hold a meeting, and I was arrested. And that is why they've been using that. I said we will hold meetings without a permit. That is not true. And, what led to my imprisonment, and again I had some chat with you outside, show my disappointment because I did tell the Director of Public Prosecution that he was misusing the law. He was putting the law into improper use. That is why in my allocutus that was never delivered, I made references to the Benthamite philosophy of maximizing the greatest happiness of the greatest number, and that the Marxist theory that the law is in the hands of the governors to be used as an instrument of oppression, and that is what is happening here. One of my supporters was arrested, which the government has every right to do. If you suspected to have committed an offense, they have every right to do so. And he was taken away, and then in detention he died. How he died, we don't know. And we went out and said, give him to us, dead or alive. That is my offense. And I went out because I know that you have authorities from the Privy Council, from the Supreme Court of Nigeria, from the Court of Appeal in Nigeria, which you are quite au fait with, All Nigeria People's Party, that you do not need permission to go out to demonstrate. Justice Okeke made it quite clear. So what offense have I committed? But he has left me with the impression that this is what I said, meaning that I have gone out to break the law. And I would have thought that at least somebody would say, look, Mr. President, Mr. Dabo has that right to do. Sorry. But the issue, why I'm saying this, because I have been projected as being a person who is non-compliant with the law. And that is certainly not the case. I have always been compliant with the law. If I have not been, this country would have been in chaos long ago, since 1996. I could have put this country into flames, but no. I have no second home. This is my home. The stability of this country is in my best interest. If I want to carry on with my law practice, effectively, I have to do it in an atmosphere of tranquility and stability. And I have absolutely no reason, and I have absolutely no intention of destabilizing this country. And I think this is my first opportunity. I have opportunity to make this public statement, and I hope that in future, when there is need to talk about matters affecting the opposition or the political parties, no reference is made to this, because it really hurts me. It puts me in bad light, and in bad light because I do not have the same medium that he has. GRTS should be here. You had television coverage, both television and radio. We do not have here. We do not have one here. And I just want to add one or two things to what Mr. Salah said. When the president even made that accepting the defeat, he specifically said, "You've defeated me by 18,000 votes." And IEC has, in the second time, certified 18,000 votes as being his majority. So what is the problem about? And of course, they have presented a petition. You, as lawyers, you know, you cannot set aside a winning candidate's election without him being a party to the proceedings. He's not a party. He's not a party. Yeah? How can you do that? And then you want to bring a court to declare those elections null and void. And the same time, in the same petition, you want to declare yourself to be the winner. These contradictions, these are legal, but then, as Mr. Salah says, we are not parties to the action, and we can never be parties to the action because the limitation period has gone. You cannot amend anything. I'm proffering that unsolicited legal advice. You cannot. Oh yes. You cannot amend, when the limitation period has passed in order to create an action. Certainly. If Mr. Barrow had been a party from the beginning, and then you now want to regularize your reliefs, maybe you can do something about that. But he's never been a party to the proceeding. It's been more than a month and a half. I don't know which judge, will really declare his elections null and void. And I think you probably have the opportunity to meet Mr. President again or his Attorney General and tell them that really, from the legal position, Mr. President and Mr. President-elect should work together as Gambians for a smooth transition. That is what they should do.
Last republic was supervised by the Ministry of Local Government and Administration, and they appointed the electoral officer returning officers. My brother, the elections in the Gambia said that whatever is put in the ballot, you cannot cheat, because if the rules and regulations are followed, nobody will have cause to query. And because the previous elections, then IEC on that leadership, which is not there now, made sure that they followed the electoral laws of this country to the letter, thereby dispelling any room for conflict. Now, the electoral law says, part of the electoral laws from the Gambia say that no polling or voting will start at any polling station unless all parties have their representative, what they call polling agents at the polling station. It is when everybody is represented, all the representatives are there, that the IEC would allow people to start voting in the presence of everyone. Because what we have here is not the ballot papers, we have tokens. And each candidate has a box. Now, it is what is put in your box that is counted. In this situation, this election, our agents, we are the ruling party, we are the government of the day. Our polling agents were not allowed in from 8 a.m. to 1 o'clock in the afternoon in some stations, police, and these are major police stations. Now, they made everything possible to make sure that they go in and they were told that they keep them out of the vicinity. In elections in this country, all the past 4 elections, we make sure that the security do not interfere, and in fact we make sure that there's less security presence. Because each time I won, they say, oh, the soldiers, they say horrible lies. But of course when you think of people that have no moral values, that's normal. That all the soldiers were dancing in the street. The soldiers are Gambians, they are registered voters, and if they have a right to support anybody. Should that intimidate anybody? The soldiers were going to vote and they were dancing. What is wrong with that? So, be it the Commonwealth, the European Union, the Americans, each time we have elections, they say the elections are not free and fair. And in most cases, it is the opposition that is always bent on violence, to create an atmosphere of electoral violence so that they can use that to say, oh, it is the government that instigated that. But I always tell people to keep the peace and ignore the provocations. To the extent that I think in 2000, one of the elections, I think 2006 it was, the then opposition leader said I was going to teach the APRC LSM. They got hold of one of our drivers. Not only did they beat him to death, they cut him into pieces. He was arrested and taken to a court of law where all the exhibits were made. And there was, at that time, we were members of the Commonwealth, where we had Commonwealth judges and technical assistants paid by the Commonwealth. And this Commonwealth judge made a funny ruling. The case dragged on for almost 2 years. And then they brought this Commonwealth judge to dismiss the case and say it was politically motivated. When you have witnesses coming to testify, pictures are shown of how they cut the body into pieces. And the judge said it was politically motivated, acquitted and discharged the criminal. And then left the country. Now, all attempts to appeal were frustrated. So,
yeah, Jemma cry baby.
The same person that early part of this year was
never thought I would see this.
Organized an illegal protest. But before going to the protest, he called the press and made a press conference that he is ready to die, but he's going out without a police car to protest. What does that really mean? Because a violent protest started and it was put off.
Violent.
Taking care of
pathological liar.
To go out and die, but he's not going to ask for a permit. The same person that killed an APRC supporter, cut him into pieces, whether to be thrown by a corrupt Commonwealth judge under the influence of outside forces, and left the country. Now it's emboldened again to say that he's ready to die. Now if you say I'm going out and I'm ready to die, are you going for a peaceful demonstration? No. So he went out to protest, and but when he made the press conference, no Western country said anything about it. Which means that he was instigating trouble in this country.
No, because it's his constitutional right, you idiot.
I'm serving the interest of my country and my country. What I want is what they don't want to hear from an African head of state. Independent African countries developing peacefully. This is what they don't want to hear. I know I've made many enemies. Do I care? I don't. I care about what my relationship with Allah and the Gambian people. So, they were even making threats that, oh, if you don't release this guy, was convicted by court of law. And then they make him trust that if I don't release the person,